night in the small town, starless, Bible black. Cobble streets silent, and the hunched quarters and rabbit's wood limping invisible down to the slow black, crow-black fishing boat bobbing sea. The houses are blind as moles, though moles see fine tonight in the snouting velvet dingle, or blind as Captain Cat. There in the muffled middle by the pump, the town hall clock, the shops in mourning, the welfare hall in widow's weeds, and all the people of the lulled and dumbfound town are sleeping now. Only your eyes are unclosed to see the blackened folding town fast and slow asleep. Only you can hear the invisible starfall, the darkest before dawn, minutely dew-grey stir of the black and damp-filled sea, with the Arethusa, the Curlew, the Skylark, the Zanzibar, the Rhiannon, the Rover, and the Star of Wales tilt and ride. Listen. It is night, moving in the streets, the processional salt-slow wind in Coronation Street. It is grass growing over Ferengi Hill, dewfall, starfall, the sleep of birds in Milkwood. Look, it is night, moving through Coronation cherry trees, and moving through the Bethesda graveyards, with wings gloved and folded, dew-doffed, tumbling by the sailors' arms. Time passes. Listen. Time passes. Come closer now. Only you can see the houses asleep in the streets in the slow, deep salt and silent black bandage night. Only you can see into the blind bedrooms and see the combs and petticoats over the chairs, the jugs and basins, the glasses of teeth, thou shalt not on the wall, and the yellowing dicky bird watching pictures of the dead. Only you can see and hear behind the eyes and ears of the dreamers, and see the movements and countries, mazes and colours, wishes and tunes and flight and fall and despairs, big seas of their dreams. From where you are, you can hear their dreams. Captain Cat, the retired blind sea captain, asleep in his sea-shelled, ship-shaped best cabin of schooner house, dreams of
never such seas as any that swamped the decks of the SS Kidwelly, bellying over the bedclothes and jellyfish slippery, sucking him salt deep down into the Davy dock, where the fish come biting out and nibble him down to his wishbone, and the long dead nuzzle up to him.
Remember me, Captain.
You're Danzig Williams.
I lost my step in Nantucket.
You see me, Captain? The white bone talking? I'm Tom Fred, the donkey man. We shared the same girl once. Her name was Mrs. Probert.
Rosie Probert, 33 Duck Lane. Come on up, boys. I'm dead.
Hold me, Captain. I'm Jonah Jarvis. Come to a bad end. Very enjoyable.
Alfred Pomeroy Jones, sea lawyer, born in Mongols, sung like a linnet, crowned with a flagon, tattooed with mermaids, thirst like a dredger, died of blisters.
And this skull at your ear hole is
Curly Bourbon, tell my auntie it was me that pawned the old Mulu clock.
Aye, aye, Curly. Tell my missus, no, I never.
I never done what she said I never.
Yes, they did.
Who brings shawls and parrots and coconuts to my Gwen now?
how's it above?
Is there rum and lava bread?
Bosoms and robins.
Concertinas.
Ebenezer's bell.
Fighting on onions?
Sparrows and daisies?
Tiddlers in a jam jar.
Buttermilk and whippets.
Rock-a-bye, baby.
Washing on the line?
Old girls in the snug?
How's the tenors in Dowlice?
Who milks the cows in my Gwen?
When she smiles, is there dimples?
What's the smell of Asleep.
Oh, my dead dears.
From where you are, you can hear in Cockle Row in the spring moonless night, Miss Price, dressmaker and sweet shopkeeper, dream of.
Her lover, tall as the town clock tower, Samson syrup gold-maned, piping hot and whacking thighed, thunderbolt-faced and barnacle-breasted, flailing up the cockles with his eyes like blow lamps and scooping low over her lonely loving, hot water-bottled body.
My family Price.
Mr. Morgan Edwards.
I am a draper mad with love. I love you more than all the flannelette and calico. Come with dimity crash and merino to sorgret on drep or muslin muslin, ticking and twill in the whole cloth hall of the world. I have come to take you away to my emporium on the hill, where the change hums on wires. Throw away your little bed socks and your Welsh wool knitted jacket. I will warm the sheets like an electric toaster. I will lie by your side like the Sunday roast.
I will knit you a wallet of forget-me-not blue, for the money to be comfy. I will warm your heart by the fire, so that you can slip it under your vest when the shop is closed.
My family, before the mice gnaw at your bottom drawer, will you say?
Yes, Smog, yes, Smog, yes, yes, yes!
And all the bells of the tills of the town shall ring for our wedding.
And in the little pink-eyed cottage next to the undertaker's lies alone the 17 snoring, gentle stone of Mr. Wilder. Rabbit catcher, barber, herbalist, cat doctor, quack. His fat pink hands palms up on the edge of the patchwork quilt, his bowler on a nail above the bed, a slice of cold bread pudding in a milk stout under his pillow. And dripping in the dark, he dreams of...
This little piggy went to market, and this little piggy stayed at home, and this little piggy had roast beef, and this little piggy had none, and this little piggy went all the way home to Waldo, Waldo!
Oh, yes, Bloodwind love.
Oh, what'll the neighbors say? What'll the neighbors say?
Oh, Mrs. Waldo, what you put up with? Never should have. This she did not do. Same as her mother. There's nothing for you. Bad is his father. And you know what he entered? Up in his either crying for his mom. Every Saturday. Left on the lake and carrying on. With that Mrs. Beatty Morris. Up in the quarry. Seen her baby. He's got his nose. Oh, it makes me happy. What you do with me? So to be a mother. And the sewing machine. Falling in the gutter. Rocking to the lamppost. Using language. Singing in the W. Oh, Mrs. Waldo.
Oh, Waldo! Waldo!
Hush, love, hush. I'm widower Waldo now.
Waldo! Waldo!
Yes, Alma?
Oh, what'll the neighbors say? What'll the neighbors say?
Black as a chimney.
Ringing doorbells.
Breaking windows.
Making mud pies.
Stealing carrots.
Talking words.
Ice going in the bushes.
Playing with tunes.
Send it to bed without any supper.
Give him some senna pots and lock him in the dark.
Off to the reformatory. Off to the reformatory. Learning with a slipper on his BTN.
Waldo? Waldo, what are you doing with our Matty?
Give us a kiss, Marty Richards.
Give us a penny then.
I only got half a penny.
Lips is a penny.
Will you take this woman, Mattie Richards?
Dulcie Prothero.
F.B. Bedlam.
Lil the blue pot.
Mrs. Washer.
Bloodwind born.
To be your awful wedded wife?
Oh, no!
Now, in her iceberg white, home-lily laundered crinoline nightgown, beneath virtuous polar sheets, in her spruced and scoured, dusty-fine bedroom, trim bay view, a house for paying guests at the top of the town. Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard, widow, twice, of Mr. Ogmore, linoleum, retired, and Mr. Pritchard, failed bookmaker, who, maddened by the bezzling, swabbing and scrubbing, the voice of the vacuum cleaner and the fume of polish, ironically swallowed disinfectant. Fidgets in moment sleep and nudges in the ribs. Dead Mr. Ogmore, dead Mr. Pritchard, ghostly either side.
Mr. Ogmore! Mr. Pritchard! It is time to inhale your balsam.
Oh, Mrs. Ogmore.
Oh, Mrs. Pritchard!
Soon it will be time to get up. Tell me your tasks in order.
I must put my pajamas in the drawer, my pajamas.
I must take a cold bath, which is good for me.
I must wear my flannel band to ward off sciatica.
I must dress beyond the curtain and put on my apron.
I must blow my nose
In the garden, if you please.
in a piece of tissue paper, which I afterwards burn.
I must take my salts, which are nature's friend.
I must boil the drinking water because of germs,
I must make my herb tea, which is free from tannin.
and have a charcoal biscuit. Which is good for me.
I may smoke one pipe of asthma
In
mixture,
the woodshed, if you please.
and dust the parlour and spray the canary.
I must put on rubber gloves and search the peak for fleas.
And I must dust the blinds, and then I must raise them.
And before you let the sun in, mind it wipes its shoes.
Gossip of Ireland, daughter, schoolteacher, dreaming deep, daintily ferrets beneath the hummock of chicken's feathers in a slaughterhouse that has a chintz curtains and a three-piece suite, and finds, with no great surprise, a small, rough and ready man with a bushy tail, winking in a paper carrier.
Oh, at last, my love.
Sighs Gossamer, and the bushy tail wags, rude and ginger.
Cries Organ Morgan the organist in his dream.
There is perturbation and music in Coronation Street. All the spouses are honking like geese and the baby's singing opera. P.C. Attila has got his truncheon out and he's playing cadenzas by the pump. The cows from Sunday Meadow ring like reindeer. And see, upon the roof of Handel Villa, the women's welfare hooping bloomer in the moon.
High above in Salt Lake Farm, Mr. Utah Watkins counts all night the white-faced sheep as they leap the fences on the hill, knitting and smiling and bleating, just like Mrs. Utah Watkins.
Knit one,
35,
slip one,
36,
knit two together,
37,
pass a slip stitch over,
48,
knit one,
49,
slip one,
50,
knit two together,
61,
pass a slip stitch over,
62,
knit one,
63,
slip one,
74, 75, 76, 87, 88, 89, 100, 101.
Under Milkwood is emptying his churns into the dewy river.
Regardless of expense.
And weeping like a funeral.
Jerry Owen next door lifts the tankard to his lips, but nothing flows out of it. He shakes the tankard. It turns into a fish. He drinks the fish.
P.C. Attila lumps out of bed and still foghorning, and drags his helmet out from under the bed. But deep in the backyard lock-up of his sleep, a mean-voiced murmurs.
You'll be sorry for this in the morning.
And he heave-hoes back to bed. His helmet swashes in the dark.
Willy-nilly postman asleep up street walks 14 miles to deliver the post, as he does every day of the night, and rat-tats hard and sharp on Mrs. Willy-nilly.
Don't spank me, please, teacher.
Whimpers his wife at his side, but every night of her married life she's been late to school.
Sinbad Sailors hugs his lovely damp pillow, whose secret name is Gossip Abiding. A mogul catches Lily Smalls in the washhouse.
Oh, you old mogul.
Mrs. Rose Cottage's eldest, May, peels off her pink and white skin in a furnace, in a cave, in a waterfall, in a tower, in a wood, and waits there, raw as an onion, for Mr. Wright to leap up the burning tall hollow splashes of leaves like a brilliantined trout.
Call me Dolores, like they do in the stories.
Alone and soon she dies. Bessie Bighead, hired help, born in the workhouse, smelling of the cowshed, snores bass and gruff on a couch of straw in Salt Lake Farm, and picks a posy of daisies from Sunday Meadow to put on the grave of Gomer Owen, who kissed her once by the pigsty when she wasn't looking, and never kissed her again, although she was looking all the time.
And the inspectors of cruelty fly down into Mrs. Butcher Bynon's stream to persecute Mr. Bynon for selling
Whole meat! Dog's eyes!
Manchop. Mr. Bynon, in butcher's bloody apron, spring heels down Coronation Street, a finger not his own in his mouth. Straight-faced in his cunning sleep, he pulls the legs off his dreams and,
Hunting on pigback, shoots down the wild chippies.
Oh, my foxy darling.
Now, behind the eyes and secrets of the dreamers, rocked asleep in the streets, cedar,
titbits and topsy-turvies, bobs and batten-tops, bags and bones and ash and rind and dandruff and nail parings, saliva and snowflakes and molted feathers of dreams, the wrecks and sprats and fish and shell bones, whale juice and moonshine, dished up by the hidden sea.
the owls are hunting. Look, over Bethesda, one hoops and swoops and catches a mouse by Hannah Rees' beloved wife. And in Coronation Street, which you alone conceived, is so dark in the chapel beneath the skies, Reverend Eli Jenkins turns in his deep towards dawn sleep and dreams of...
I stood with I.
He intricately rhymes all night long to the music of Pruth and Pigborn and a druid CD90 in a beer tent black with parks.
Mr. Pugh, in the schoolhouse opposite, fathoms asleep, pretends to be sleeping, but side spies Foxy round the droop of his nightcap and psst, whistles up.
Not there.
Mrs. Organ Morgan, groceress, coiled grey like a dormouse, her paws to her ears, conjures.
Silence.
She sleeps very dulcet in a cove of wool, and trumpeting Organ Morgan at her side snores no louder than a spider.
Mary Ann Sailors dreams of...
The Garden of Eden.
She comes in her smock frock and clogs.
Away from the cool, scrubbed, cobbled kitchen, with the Sunday school pictures on the whitewashed walls, and the farmer's almanac hung above the settle, and the sides of bacon on the ceiling hooks, and goes down the cobble-shelled paths of that apple pie kitchen garden, ducking under Jimbo's clothes pegs, catching her apron on blackcurrant bushes, past bean row and onion bed, and tomatoes ripening on the wall, towards the old man playing the harmonium in the orchard, and sits down on the grass at his side, and shells the green peas that grow up through the lap of the frock that brushes the dew.
In Donkey Street, so furred with sleep, Dive-Red, Polly Garter, no good boil, and Lord Cutglass sigh before the dawn that is about to be, and dream of...
Harems.
Babies.
Nothing.
The time passes. Listen. Time passes. The owl flies home past Bethesda, and the dawn inches up. Stand on this hill. This is Clareggy Hill, old as the hills, high, cool, and green. And from this little circle of stones, made not by druids, but by Mrs. Vinan's billy, you can see all the town below you in the first at dawn. You can hear wood pigeons moaning in bed. A dog barks in his sleep farmyards away, and the town ripples like a lake in the waking haze. Who pulls the town? Old Bell Road. The blind Captain Cat. One by one, the sleepers are rung out of bed this morning as every morning. And soon you shall see the chimney's slow flying snow as Captain Cat, in sailor's cap and sea boots, announces today in his loud get-out-of-bed bell.
The Reverend Eli Jenkins in Bethesda House gropes his way out of bed into his preacher's black, combs back his barred white hair, forgets to wash, pants barefoot down the stairs and opens the front door. And standing in the doorway, looking out at the day and up at the eternal hill and hearing the sea break and the gab of the birds, remembers his own verses and tells them softly to empty Coronation Street, which is rising and raising its blinds.
Dear Warrior, I know there are towns fairer than ours, and fairer hills and loftier far, and groves more full of flowers, boskier woods more blithe with spring, and bright with birds adorning, sweeter bards than I, to sing their praise this beauteous morning. By cannot Idris tempest torn, or moilier oedbus glory, come ned through Ellen beauty born, Flynn Limon longing story. By mountains where King Arthur dreams, by Penmine Moor defiant, Harrogate Hill, a molehill seems, a pygmy to a giant. I saw thee Seddy, Dovey, Dee, Edu, Eden, Allen, all, Taff and Towie, broad and free, Cloughnant with his waterfall. By Clairwen, Cleddau, Dallais, Dow, Ellie, Gwilly, Ogur, Ned, small is our river dewy law, a bay in a rushy bed. By Carrick Kennan, king of time, our Arrowhead is only a piece of stone with seaweed spread where gulls come to be lone. A tiny dingle is built wood by Golden Grove neath Gronga. But let me choose, and oh, I should love all my life and longer to stroll among our leafy ways, down Goosecock Lane on Donkey Down, and hear the Dewi sing all day. Never leave this town.
Reverend Jenkins closes the front door. His morning service is over.
Now woken at last by the out-of-bed sleepy-head, they put the kettle on the town hall bell. Lily Smalls, Mrs. Vinan's treasure, comes downstairs from her dream of royalty, who all night long went waking with her full of sauce in the Milkwood dark, and puts the kettle on the primus ring in Mrs. Vinan's kitchen, and looks at herself in Mr. Vinan's shaving glass over the sink, and sees.
Oh, there's a face. Where'd you get that hair from? Got it from an old tomcat. Give it back then, love. Oh, there's a perm. Where'd you get that nose from, Lily? Got it from my father, silly. You got it on upside down. Oh, there's a conch. Look at your complexion. Oh no, you look. Needs a bit of makeup. Needs a veil. Oh, there's glamour. Where'd you get that smile, Lil? Let me be mine, girl. Nobody loves you. That's what you think. Who is it loves you? Shan't tell. Come on, Lily. Cross your heart, then. Cross my heart.
Very softly, her lips almost touching her reflection, she breathes the name and climbs the glass.
Lily! Yes, Mum? Where's my tea, girl? Where'd you think? In the hat box. Coming up, Mum.
Mr. Pugh in schoolhouse opposite takes the morning cup of tea to Mrs. Pugh and whispers on the stairs,
Is your arsenic, dear? And your weed killer biscuits? I've trotted your parakeet.
and spat in the mouses. I put cheese in the mouse holes. Here's your nice cup of tea, dear.
Too much sugar.
You haven't tasted it yet, dear.
Too much milk, then. Has Mr. Jenkins said his poetry?
Yes, dear.
Then it's time to get up. Give me my glasses. No, not my reading glasses. I want to look out. I want to see.
Lily Smalls, the treasure, down on her red knees, scrubbing the front step.
Oh, she's tucked my dress in her bloomers, the baggot.
Monsieur Tillerice, ox broad, barge-booted, stamping out of Hancock House in a heavy leaf red hop. Damp brow under his damp helmet.
He's going to arrest me for that. Mark my words.
What for, dear?
For having babies.
And lumbering down towards the strand to see that the sea is still there.
Mary Ann Sailors, opening her bedroom window above the tap room of the Sailors' Arms, and calling to the heavens,
I'm 85 years, 3 months and a day.
I will say this for her. She never makes a mistake.
Morgan Morgan, at his bedroom window, plays chords on the sills to the early fish-white gulls, who, heckling over Donkey Street, observe,
Me, dyed bread, hurrying to the bakery, pushing in my shirt ends, buttoning my waistcoat, paying was a bottom. Oh, why can't they sew them? No time for breakfast, nothing for breakfast. There's wives for you. Me, Mrs. Dyed bread, one captain shawl and no old corset. Oh, nice to be comfy, nice to be nice. Clogging on the cobbles to stir up a neighbour. Oh, Mrs. Sarah, love, can you spare a loaf? Dyed bread forgot the bread. There's a lovely morning. How's your boils this morning? Oh, that's good news. It's a change to sit down. Ta, Mrs. Sarah.
Me, Mrs. Dyed Bread too, gypsy to kill in a silky scarlet petticoat above my knee. Dirty, pretty me. See my body through my petticoat. High heel shoes with one heel missing. Tortoiseshell comb in my slinky hair. Nothing else at all but a dab of scent. Lolling gaudy in the doorway. Tell your fortune in the tea leaves. Scowling at the sunshine. Lighting up my pipe.
Me, the old cut glasses and old frock coat belonged to Big Jenkins and a pair of postman's trousers from Bethesda Jungle, running out of doors to empty slots of lines there, Rover, and running back in the tick-tock, tick-tock.
Me, no good boy all. Up to no good in the washhouse.
Me, Miss Price, in my pretty print house coat, deft as the clothesline, natty as a jelly then pit-pat, back to my egg in its cosy, my crisp toast fingers, my homemade plum and butter pat.
Me, Polly Garza, under the washing line, giving the breast in the garden to my bonny new baby. Nothing grows in our garden, only washing and babies. And where's their fathers live, my love? Over the hills and far away. You're looking up at me now. I know what you're thinking, you poor little milky creature. You're thinking, you know better than you should be, Polly, and that's good enough for me. Oh, isn't life a terrible thing? Thank God.
now frying pans spit, kettles and cats purr in the kitchen, and the town smells of breakfast and seaweed, all the way from Bayview, where Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard, in smock and turban, big besom to engage the dust, picks at her starchless bread and sips her lemon-rind tea. To Botham Cottage, where Mr. Waldo gobbles his bubble and squeak and swigs from the sauce bottle. Mary Ann Sailors,
Praises the Lord who made porridge.
Mr. Pugh,
Remembers ground glass as he judges his omelets.
Mrs. Pugh,
Knacks the salt cellar.
Willie Nilly Postman,
Downs his last bucket of black brackish tea and rumbles out bandy to the clucking back, where the hens grieve on twitch for their tea-soaked sops.
the Reverend Eli Jenkins,
Finds a rhyme and dips his pen in his cocoa.
Lord Cut Glass in the stinking kitchen,
Campus from clock to clock with a bunch of peas in one hand and an old fish head in the other.
Captain Cat at his sea galley.
Blind and fine fingers, say with his sea fry.
Mr. and Mrs. Cherry Owen, in their Donkey Street room, which is bedroom, parlour, kitchen and scullery, Sit down to last night's supper of onions boiled in their overcoats, a broth of spuds, and bacon rind and bones.
See that smudge on the wall by the picture of Auntie Blossom? That's where you threw the same hole. You only missed me by an inch.
I always miss Auntie Blossom too.
Remember last night? In your ear, my boy as drunk as a deacon with a big wet bucket and a fish pail full of stout. You looked at me and you said, God has come home, you said. Then over the bucket you went sprawling and bawling, rather flowers, flagons and eels.
Oh, was I wounded?
Then you took off your trousers and you said, does anybody want to fight? Oh, you old buffoon.
Oh, he was a kiss.
And then you sang Bread of Heaven, tenor and bass.
Oh, I always sing Bread of Heaven.
And then you did a little dance on the table.
I did.
And dropped dead.
And then what did I do?
Then you said you were a poor drunk orphan with nowhere to go but the grave.
And then what did I do, my love?
Then you danced on the table all over again. And you said that you were King Solomon Owen. And I was your Mrs. Sheba.
Oh, and then?
And then I got you into bed.
Oh.
And you snored all night like a brewery.
From Bynon Butcher's in Coronation Street, the smell of fried liver sidles out with onions on its breath. And listen, in the small dark breakfast room behind the shop, Mr. and Mrs. Bynon, waited upon by their treasure, enjoy between bites their every morning hullabaloo, and Mrs. Bynon slips the gristly bits under the tasseled tablecloth to her fat cat.
She likes the liver, Ben.
Sure to do, Bess. It's her brother's.
Did you hear that? Right in Muscat?
Yes.
Oh, you can't butcher.
It was Dr. Grant.
What's that got to do with it?
Yesterday we had war. And these shoes was
Oh, go on, Mrs. Bynon. He's the biggest liar in town.
Don't you dare say that about Mr. Bynon.
Everyone knows it, Mum.
Mr. Bynon never tells a lie, do you, Ben?
No, Bess. And now I'm going out after the corgis with my little cleaver.
Sinbad Sailors pours himself a pint in the sunlit bar of the Sailors' Arms. The ship's clock on the wall says 11:30. 11:30 is opening time. The hands on the clock of the wall have stayed at 11:30 for the last 50 years. It's always opening time in the Sailors' Arms.
Here's to me, Sinbad.
Noses are white, heads picked, hair combed, paws scrubbed, ears boxed, and the children shrilled off to school.
Fishermen grumble to their nets, and no good boyo goes out in the dinghy Zanzibar. Ships the oars, drifts slowly into the damp-filled bay, and lying on his back in the unveiled water of its crab's legs and tangled lines, looks up at the spring sky.
I don't know who's up there, and I don't care.
He turns his head, but looks up at Llareggub Hill, and sees among the green lathered trees the white strewn away houses of the farms, where farm boys whistle, dogs shout, cows low, but all too far away for you or him to hear. In the town the shops squeak open, and at the doorway of Manchester House, Mr. Mog Edwards measures with his eye the dawdlers by for striped flannel shirts and shrouds and flowery blouses, and bellows to himself in the darkness behind his eye.
I love Miss Price.
Syrup is sold in a post office. A car goes to market full of fowls and the farmer. And milk churns stand on street corners like short silver policemen. And at his open schooner's porthole window, Captain Cash is all the morning of the town.
Andy Richards, Mickey Reese, Tommy Powell, our Sal, Little Gerwine, Willie Swansea was a dog's boy. Robert Swangold, Nancy Humphrey, Jackie with the stick. Well, Dicky's Alby, and the boys from Five Pounds. They got the rank again. Somebody said Maggie Richards, 2-1 it's Willie Swansea. Never trust a boy who farms. Right again, it's Billy.
Children's voices cry away.
That's Willie Nilly postman. Knocking at Bayview, rat-a-tat, very soft. The knocker's got a kid glove on. Who sent a message to Mrs. Ogmore Richard? the front step now. She's from this glassy. Every step like a bar of soap. Mind your size 12, sis. That old Bessie had beeswaxed the lawn to make the birds slip.
Morning, Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard.
Good morning, postman.
The letter for you here. It stands in a dressed envelope all the way from Bilth, Wales. Gentleman wants to study birds for 2 weeks, and can he have accommodation and a bath vegetarian?
No.
Oh, no, he was in the house, Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard. He entered a bang at dawn with his little bag of breadcrumbs and his little telescope.
And come home at all hours, covered in feathers.
I don't want persons in my nice, clean rooms, treading and breathing all over my furniture.
He won't breathe.
Oh, yes, treading on my best carpet and sneezing all over the china and sleeping in my sheets.
He wants a single bed, Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard.
Back she goes to the kitchen to polish the potatoes.
He hears Willie Nilly's footsteps, heavy on the distant
1,
cobbles.
2, 3, 4, 5. That's Mrs. Rose Cottage. What's today? Today she gets a letter from her sister in Gosness. How's the twins' teeth? That's school.
Morning, Mrs. Pugh. Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard won't have a gentleman in from Bilth, Wales because he'll sleep in her sheets. Mrs. Rose Cottage's sister in Gosness, his twins, have got to have them out.
Give me the parcel.
It's from Mr. Pugh, Mrs. Pugh.
Never you mind. What's in it?
It's a book called Lives of the Great Poisoners. Morning, Mr. Edwards.
That's Manchester House.
Very small news today. Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard won't have birds in the house, and Mr. Pugh's put a book on how to do it, Mrs. Pugh.
Have you got a letter from her?
Miss Price loves you with all her heart. Smelling of lavender today. She's down to the last of the elderflower wine with the quince jams bearing up, and she's knitting roses on the doilies. Last week she sold a pound of humbugs, 3 jars of jelly babies, and 6 coloured bottles of Florida. Yours forever, and 21 exes.
Oh, Willie Nilly, she's a ruby. Oh, here's my letter. Put it in her hand now, mind.
Mr. Waldo, hurrying to the Sailor's Arms. Pint of stout with an egg in it. There's a letter for him.
Not a paternity summons, Mr. Waldo.
The footsteps hurry along the 3 short steps and into the Sailor's Arms.
Quick, Sinbad, pint of stout and no egging.
All the people are moving now up and down the cobbled street.
All the women are out this morning in the sun. You can tell it's spring. There goes Mrs. Cherry. You can tell her by her trotters. Off she trots. New as the days. Who's that talking by the pump? Mrs. Floyd and Boyle talking flatfish. What can you talk about flatfish? There goes Mrs. Diebread 1, waltzing up the street like a jelly. Every time she shakes, it slap, slap, slap. Who's that? Mrs. Butcher Bynum with a pet black cat. Follows her everywhere. Meowing off. Number 23. Important. The sun gets up and goes down in her dew lap. When she shuts her eyes, night. High heels now in the morning, too. That's Mrs. Rose Cottage's eldest maid, 17, and never been kissed. Oh, oh. Off she goes, young and milking under my window to the field with the nanny goats. She reminds me of... Can't hear what they're gabbing about round the pump. Same as ever. Who's having a baby? Who's black to his eye? Seen Polly Garter giving her belly an airing? There ought to be a law. Oh, the cost of soap flakes. Oh, good morning, that is early. Tell it spring.
The sound of milk cans.
Oh, key milkman on his rounds. I will say this for him. His milk's as fresh as the dew. Half dew it is. Snuffle on keep watering the town. Somebody's coming. Now the voices round the pump can hear somebody coming. Hush. Now there's the hush. You can tell by the sound of the hush. It's Polly Garter. Hello, Polly. Who's there?
Mila.
That's Polly Hello, Polly, my love. Can you hear the dumb gooses of the wives as they huddle and peck and flounce or waddle away? Who cuddled you when? Which of their gandering hubbies moaned under milkwood for your naughty mothering arms and your body like a wardrobe, love? Scrubbed the floor of the welfare hall for the Mothers' Union social dance. Your one mother won't wriggle a roly-poly bum or pat her flat little buttery feet in that wedding ring holy tonight. Though the dancing breadwinners snatched from the cosy smoke of the sailors' arms will grizzle and mope. Too late, cock. Too late.
For the town's half over with its mourning. The morning's busy as bees.
In Mrs. Organ Morgan's general store, where everything is sold, custard, buckets, henna, rat-trap, shrimp nets, stamps, confetti, hatchets and whistles.
Mrs. Uncle Pritchard.
La-di-da. Got a man in Wiltwell.
And he got a little telescope to look at birds.
Willy-nilly said.
Remember her first husband? Oh, he didn't need a telescope. He looked at them undressing through the keyhole. And he used to shout, "Tally-ho!"
Mr. Ludlow was a proper gentleman, even though he hung his collie.
Seen Mrs. Butcherbide?
She said, Butcherbide and puts ducks in the midst.
Go on, he's pulling her leg. Don't dare tell her that, though, there's a dear.
Perhaps you think he's trying to pull us up the midst.
Nasty lots live here when you come to think.
Look at that no good boy up there. Too lazy to make a snatch.
And going out fishing every day for a week. And all he ever brought back was a Mrs. Samuels.
Been in the water a week. And look at him, but wife that nobody's ever seen. He keeps her in the cupboard where the empties.
And a thing called dry bread with 2 wives.
One for the daytime, and one for the night.
Men have roots on the quiet.
So, how's Morgan Morgan, Mrs. Morgan?
You look dead beat.
She does.
It's organ all time with them.
I went till midnight every night, playing the organ.
Oh, I'm a martyr to music.
Now the sun springs down the rough and tumbling town. It runs through the hedges of Cricklade Lane, cuffing the birds to sing and the shells ring out. Claregib, this snip of a morning, is wild fruit and warm, as the streets, fields, sands and waters springing in the young sun.
Springs, does gossamer vine on schoolmistress lightly spoon.
Oh, what'll I do? Under the purifying did I twitch?
The sun and the green breeze ship Captain Cat sea memory again.
No! I'll take them a rattle, by God! Who's captain here? A little jig-jig, madam.
Mary Ann Sailor says very softly to herself as she looks out from the window where she was born to Claregib Hill.
It is spring in Carrigib, the sun in my old age, and this is the chosen land.
And in Willy-nilly Boston's damp and tea-coated, misty pygmy kitchen, Mrs. Willy-nilly steams open Mr. Mogg Edwards' letter to Miss Mavanry Price and reads it aloud to Willy-nilly.
Manchester House, Claregib, sole prop, Mr. Mogg Edwards, date of took, linen draper, haberdasher, master tailor, costumier, for West End, negligee, lingerie, tea gowns, evening dress, trousseau, layette, also ready to wear for all occasions. economical outfitting for agricultural employment, our speciality. Wardrobes bought. Among our satisfied customers, Ministers for Religion and JPs, fittings by appointment, advertising weekly in the Tuchbuchen. Beloved Fanwick Rice, my bride in heaven, I love you.
Until death do us part, and then we shall be together forever and ever. A new parcel of ribbons has come from Carmarthen today, all the colours of the rainbow. I wish I could tie a ribbon in your hair, a white one, but it cannot be. I dreamed last night you were all dripping wet. You sat on my lap as the Reverend Jenkins went down the street. I see you have a mermaid in your lap, he said. He lifted his hat. Oh, he's a proper Christian. Not like Cherry Owen, who said you should have thrown her back, he said. Business is very poorly. Polly Garter bought 2 garters with roses on, but she never bought no stockings, so what's the use, I say? Mr. Waldo tried to sell me a woman's nightie outsize. He said he found it, and we know where. I sold a packet of pins to Tom the sailors to pick his teeth. If this goes on, I shall be in the workhouse. My heart is in your bosom, yours is in mine. God be with you always, my Van Price, and keep you lovely for me in his heavenly mansion. I must go now, but I remain your eternal Og Edwards.
And then a little message with a rubber stamp, sharp at marks.
And willy-nilly rumbling, jockeys out into the back to the 3-seated shack at the back, called the House of Commons, where the hen is weeping sudden springshine and seas.
Herring gulls heckling down to the harbour where the fishermen spit and prop the morning up, and with lazy blue eyes eye that milk-mild whispering water with no rock or ripple, as though it blew great guns and serpents and typhooned the town.
Too rough for fishing today.
And they thanked God and gobbled a gull for luck. And moss slow and silent make their way up from the still, still sea towards the sailors' arms, as the children
Spank and scamper, rough and singing into the Cricklade yard, and Captain Cat at his open schooner's window says soft to himself the words of their song.
Johnny Crack, a frosty snap, kept their baby in a milking cow. Frosty snap and Johnny Crack, one would pull it out, and one would put it back. Oh, it's my turn now, said Frosty Snap, to take the baby from the milking pail. And it's my turn now, said Johnny Crack, to smack it on the head and put it back. Johnny Crack and Flossie Snap kept their baby in a milking pail. One would put it back and one would put it out, and all it had to drink was ale and stout. For Johnny Crack and Flossie Snap always used to say that stout and ale was good for a baby in a milking pail.
The rustle of spring is heard distinctly above Milkwood. It is the rustle of spring.
A glee party sings in Bethesda graveyard, gay but muffled,
Vegetables make love among the tenants.
and dogs bark blue in the face.
Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard chases out the sun with a fly whisk, but even she cannot drive away the spring. From one of the finger bones, a primrose grows.
Mrs. Dybread 1 and Mrs. Dybread 2 are sitting outside their house in Donkey Lane, one darkly, one plumply blooming in the dewy sun. Mrs. Dybread 2 is looking into a crystal ball which she holds in the lap of her dirty petticoat, hard against her hard, dark eyes.
Cross my palm with silk. Out of our housekeeping money. Ah,
What do you see, lovey?
I see a feather bed with 3 pillows on it. There's a text above the bed. I can't read what it says. There's great clouds blowing. Now they are blown away. God is love, the text says.
That's our bed.
And now it's vanished.
The sun's spinning like a top. Who's this coming out of the sun? It's a hairy little man with big pink lips. He got a wall eye. It's Di Branch. The feather bed's floating back. The little man's taking off his shirt. He's pulling off his boots. He's climbing into bed. There's two women in bed. There's two women in bed. He looks at them both with his head cocked on one side. Now he grips his little hands around one of the women.
Oh, which one? Which one?
I can't see any more. There's big clouds blowing again.
Oh, the mean old clouds.
Reverend Jenkins, busy on his morning calls, stops outside the widow's welfare hall to hear Polly Garter as she scrubs the steps for the Mothers' Union dance tonight.
I loved a man whose name was Tom. He was strong as a bear and 2 yards long. I loved a man whose name was Dick. He was big as a barrel and 3 feet thick. I loved a man whose name was Harry, 6 feet tall and sweet as a cherry. But the one I loved best, awake or asleep, was little Willie Wee, and he's 6 feet deep. Oh, Tom, Dick, and Harry were 3 fine men, and I'll never have such loving again. But little Willie Wee, who took me on his knee, little Willie Wee was the man for me. Now men from every parish round run after me and roll me on the ground. But whenever I love another man back, Johnny from the hill was sailing Jack. I always think, as they do what they please, of Tom, Dick, and Harry, who were tall as trees. And most I think, when I'm by their side, of little Willie Wee, who downed and died.
Oh, praise the Lord. We are a musical nation.
Says the Reverend Jenkins, and he hurries on through the town to visit the sick with jellies and tomes.
The town's as full as a loveboard's egg,
Why, there goes the Reverend,
says Mr. Waldo from the smoke herring brown window of the Sailor's Arms.
with his brolly and his oars. Well, fill him up, Sinbad. I'm on the treacle today.
The silent fishermen flush down their pints.
Oh, Mr. Warrow,
Sighs Sinbad sailors.
I got on that gossamer bine on. She's a lady all over.
And Mr. Waldo, who is thinking of a woman as soft as Eve and sharp as sciatica, answers,
No lady that I know is.
If only Grandma died, cross my heart, Mr. Warrow, I'd go down on my knees and I'd say, Miss Gossamer, I'd say.
When birds do sing, hey, ding-a-ding-a-ding, sweet lovers of the spring.
Pretty Polly, still on her knees.
Tom, Dick, and Harry were 3 fine men, and I'll never have such ding-a-ding again.
the morning school is over. And Captain Cat at his open schooner's porthole window hears the naughty forfeiting children as they tumble and rhyme on the cobbles.
Boys, they make such a noise. Boys, 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 come along to me. Boys, 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 he's Gwenny where she says, we'll give her a penny. Go on, Gwenny. Kiss me in Goose Lane, or give me a penny. What's your name, Billy? Kiss me in Goose Lane, Billy.
couches there and kisses, lazy loving enthused in her red-berried breast. Eyes run from the trees and windows of the street, streaming gossamer and strip her to the nipples and the knees. She blazes naked past the sailor's arms, the only woman on the diademed earth. And Sinbad Sailors places on her thighs, still dew-damp from his first man-growing cockcrow garden, his reverent goat-bearded hands.
I don't care if he is common.
She whispers to her salad-day deep self.
I just want to gobble him up. I don't care if he does drop his H's.
She tells the stripped and mother of the world, big-beamed and Egypt spring of herself.
So long as he's all cucumber and
Sinbad Sailors watches her go by, demure and proud and schoolmarm in her crisp flower dress and sun-lit, sun-packed. The butcher's ice-maiden unmelting daughter, veiled forever from the hungry hug of his eyes.
Oh, Gossamer Bynum, why are you so proud?
He grieves to his Guinness.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful Gossamer Bee. I wish that you were for me. I wish you were not so educated.
She feels his goat-beard hands tickle her in the middle of the world like a tuft of wiry fire, and she turns in a terror of delight away from his whips and whiskery conflagration, and sits down in the kitchen to a plate he pie with chips and kidneys of lamb.
And in the blind-drawn, dark dining room of schoolhouse, dusty and echoing as a dining room in a vault, Mr. and Mrs. Pugh are silent over cold, grey cottage pie. Mr. Pugh reads as he forks the shroud meat in from Lives of the Great Poisoners. He has bound a plain brown paper cover round the book. Silently between mouthfuls he side-spies up at Mrs. Pugh, poisons her with his eye, and then goes on eating. He underlines certain passages and smiles in secret.
Persons with manners do not read at table,
Says Mrs. Pugh, and she swallows a digestive tablet as big as a horse pill, washing it down with clouded pea soup water.
Some persons were brought up in pigsties.
Pigs can't read at the table, my dear.
Bitterly she flicks dust from the broken cruet. It settles on the pie in a thin, gnat rain.
Pigs can't read, my dear.
I know one who can.
Alone, in the hissing laboratory of his wishes, Mr. Pugh minces among bad vats and Jeroboams, tiptoes through spinneys of murdering herbs, agony dancing in his crucibles, and mixes, especially for Mrs. Pugh, a venomous porridge, unknown to toxicologists, that will scald and viper through her, till her ears fall off, her toes grow big and black as balloons, and steam comes screaming out of her navel.
I beg your pardon, my dear.
Says Mr. Pugh, and quick as a flash he ducks her in rat soup.
What's that book by your trough, Mr. Pugh?
Theological work, my dear. Lives of the great saints.
Mrs. Pugh smiles, an icicle forms in the dining room.
I saw you talking to a saint this morning, Saint Polygat. She was martyr again last night. Mrs. Organ Morgan saw her with Mr. Waldo.
And when they saw me, they pretended they were looking for nests.
Says Mrs. Organ Morgan to her husband with her mouth full of fish as a pelican's.
But you don't go nesting in long combinations, I said to myself, like Mr. Waldo was wearing. Or your dress nearly over your head like Polygarter's. Oh, they didn't fool me.
One big bird gulp, and the flounder's gone. She licks her lips and goes stabbing again.
And when you think of all those bangs she's got, then all I can say is she'd better give up bird nesting. That's all I can say. It isn't the right kind of hobby at all for a woman that can't say no, even to midgets. Remember Bob Spit? He wasn't any bigger than a baby, and he gave her two. But they're two nice boys, I will say that, Fred Spit and Arthur. Sometimes I like Fred best.
Now time for me.
Organ Morgan, you haven't been listening to a word I said. It's organ all the time with you.
And she bursts into tears, and in the middle of her salty howling, nimbly spears a small flatfish and pelicans it home.
And then Palestrina,
says Organ Morgan. Pretty Polly hums and longs.
Now when farmers' boys on their first fair day come down from the hills to drink and be gay, before the sun sinks, I'll lie there in their arms, for they're good bad boys from the lonely farms. But I always think, as we tumble into bed, of little Willie Wee, who is dead, dead, dead.
The sunny, slow, lulling afternoon yawns and moons through the dozy town. The sea lolls, laps, and idles in with fishes in its lap.
Persons with manners,
Snaps Mrs. Cold Pew.
do not sleep at table.
Mr. Pugh cringes awake. He puts on a sad, soft-soaping smile under his thick, egg-yellow, nicotine, weeping walrus Victorian moustache, worn thick and long in memory of Dr. Crippen.
You should wait until you retire to your style.
Says Mrs. Pugh, sweet as a razor. His fawning measly quarter smile freezes. Sly and silent, he foxes into his chemist's den, and there, in a hiss and prussic circle of cauldrons and phials brimful with the pox and the black death, cooks up a fricassee of deadly nightshade, nicotine, hot frog, bat spit, and cyanide for his kneeling, stout-tracked hag and bed-nag of a poker-backed nutcracker wife.
You know best, my dear.
He murmurs with a wheedle.
Captain Cat. His open window thrown wide to the sun and the clippered seas he sailed long ago when his eyes were bright and blue. Slumbers and voyages, ear-ringed and rolling. I love you, Rosie Probert, tattooed on his belly. He weeps as he sleeps and sails.
One voice of all he remembers most dearly as his dream buckets down. Lazy early Rosie with the flaxen thatch, whom he shared with Tom Fred the donkey man, and many another seaman. Clearly and nearly speaks to him from the bedroom of her dust. Mrs. Probert.
From Duck Lane, Jack. Quack twice and ask for Rosie.
Is the one love of his sea life that was sardined with women.
What seas did you see, Tomcat, Tomcat, in your sailoring days long, long ago? What sea beasts were in the wavery green when you were my master?
I'll tell you the truth. Seas barking like seals. Blue seas and green, seas covered with eels and mermen and whales.
What seas did you sail of Whaler when on the blubbery waves between Frisco and Wells you were my bosun?
As true as I'm here, dear you, Tomcat's tart. You Randrupper Rosie, you cozy love, my easy as easy, my true sweetheart. Seas green as a bean, seas gliding with swans in the seal-barking moon.
What seas were rocking my little deckhand, my favourite husband in your sea boots and hunger, my duck, my whaler, my honey, my daddy, my pretty sugar sailor, with my name on your belly when you were a boy, long, long ago.
I'll tell you no lies. The only sea I saw was the seesaw sea with you riding on it. Lie down, lie easy, let me shipwreck in your thighs.
Knock twice, Jack, at the door of my grave and ask for Rosie.
Probert.
Remember her. She is forgetting. The earth which filled her mouth is vanishing from her. Remember me. I have forgotten you. I am going into the darkness of the darkness forever. I have forgotten that I was ever born.
Look,
Says a child to her mother as they pass by the window of Schooner House.
Captain Cat is crying.
Captain Cat is crying.
Come back, come back.
Up the silences and echoes and passages of the eternal night.
He's crying all over his nose.
Mother and child pass on down the street.
He's got a nose like strawberries.
But then she forgets him too. And she turns her head and sees in the middle of the blue bag bay Nola Boyle fishing from the Zanzibar.
No good boy gave me 3 pennies yesterday, but I wouldn't.
No good boyo catches a whalebone corset. It is all he has caught all day.
That a funny fish.
Mrs. Diabred too gypsies up in his mind's slow eye, dressed only in a bangle.
Oh, she's wearing her nightgown. Would you like a nice wet corset, Mrs. Diabred too?
No, I won't.
Or a bite of my little apple?
He offers with no hope.
She shakes her brass nightgown, and he chases her out of his mind's eye. And when he comes gusting back, there in the bloodshot centre of his eye, a geisha girl grins and bows in a kimono of rice paper.
I want to be good boy, oh, but nobody'll let me.
The sea fades, the land flocks silently away, and from the warm white cloud where he lies, silky, tingly, uneasy eastern music undoes him in a Japanese minute.
The afternoon buzzes like lazy bees round the flowers round Mayrose cottage, who, nearly asleep in a field of nanny goats who hum and gently butt the sun, blows love on a potterful.
He loves me. He loves me not. He loves me. He loves me not. He loves me. Dirty old fool.
Lazy, she lies alone in clover and sweet grass. 17 and never been sweet in the grass. Ho, ho.
The Reverend Eli Jenkins, inky in his full front parlour or poem room, tells the only truth in his life work: the population, main industry, shipping, history, topography, flora and fauna of the town he worships, in the little white book of Llaregged. Pictures of famous bards and preachers, all wool and fur from the squint to the kneecaps, hang over him heavy as sheep, next to faint lady watercolours of pale green milkwood, like a lettuce salad, dying. His mother, propped against a pot in a plum, with her black wedding ring waist and bust like a black cloth dining table, suffers in her stays.
Oh, angels, be careful there with your knives and forks.
He prays. There is no known likeness to his father, Esau, who, undog-collared because of his little weakness, was sized to the bone one harvest by mistake when sleeping with his weakness in the corn. He lost all ambition and died with one leg.
Poor dad.
Grieves the Reverend Eli.
To die of drink and agriculture.
Farmer Watkins hates his cattle on the hill as he owes them into milking.
No, damn you, you damn daddies!
The cow kisses him.
Bite her to death!
He shouts to his deaf dog, who smiles and licks his hand.
Go him! Or sit on him, Daisy!
He bawls to the cow who barbed him with her tongue, and she moves gently as he dances and raves amongst his summer-bred slaves walking delicately to the market. The coming of the end of the spring day is already reflected in the lakes of their great eyes. Bessie Bighead greets them by the names she gave them when they were maidens.
Peg, Meg, Buttercup, and Mole, Phantom the Castle, Theodosia, and Daisy.
Look up Bessie Bighead in the white book of Llaregged, and you will find a few haggard rags and one glittering thread of her history laid out there with as much love and care of a lock of hair as her first love. Conceived in Milkwood, born in a barn, wrapped in paper, left on a doorstep, big-headed and bass-voiced, she grew in the dark, until long-dead Gomer Owen kissed her once by the pigsty because he was dead. And now in the light, she work, sing, milk, and say the cow's sweet names, until the night sucks out her soul and spits it into the sky. In her lifelong love light, holily Bessie milks the fond lake-eyed cows as the dusk showers slowly down over sea, fire, and town.
Now the town is dusk. Each cobble, donkey, goose, and gooseberry street is a thoroughfare of dusk and ceremonial dust, and night's first darkening snow and the sleep of birds drift under and through the live dusk of this place of love. Llaregged is the capital of dusk.
Mrs. Udmore Pritchard, at the first drop of the dusk shower, seals her sea-view doors, draws her germ-free blinds, and sits erect as a dry dream in a high-backed hygienic chair, and wills herself to cold, quick sleep. At once, at twice, Mr. Ogmore and Mr. Pritchard, who all dead day long have been gossiping like ghosts in the woodshed, planning the loveless destruction of their glass widow, sigh and sidle into her clean house.
You're first, Mr. Ogmore. Oh, no, after you, Mr. Pritchard. No, Mr. Ogmore. You widowed her first.
And in through the keyhole, with tears where their eyes once were, they ooze and grumble.
Husband.
There is acid love in her voice for one of the two shambling phantoms. Mr. Ogmore hopes it is not for him. So does Mr. Pritchard.
I love you both.
Oh, Mrs. Ogmore. Oh, Mrs. Pritchard.
Soon it will be time to go to bed. Tell me your tasks in order.
We must take our pyjamas from the drawer marked pyjamas.
And then you must take them off.
Down in the dusking town, Mayro's cottage, still lying in clover, listens to the nanny goat's chew, draws circles of lipstick round her nipples.
I'm fast. I'm a bad lot. God will strike me dead. I'm 17. I'll go to hell.
She tells the goats.
You just wait. I'll sin till I blow up.
She lies deep, waiting for the worst to happen. The goats chant and sneer.
Reverend Jenkins recites to Cricklade Hill his sunset poem.
Every morning, when I wake, dear Lord, a little prayer I make. Oh, please to keep thy lovely eye on all poor creatures born to die. And every evening at sundown, I ask a blessing on the town. For whether we last the night or no, I'm sure it's always touch and go. We are not wholly bad or good, who live our lives under Milkwood. And thou, I know, will be the first to see our best side, not our worst. Oh, let us see another day, and bless us all this night, I pray. And to the sun we all will bow, and say goodbye, but just for now.
Lily Smalls is up to no good boil in the washhouse.
And Cherry Owen, sober as Sunday as he is every day of the week, goes off happy as Saturday to get drunk as a deacon as he does every night.
I always say she's got two husbands.
Says Cherry Owen.
One drunk and the other sober.
And Mrs. Cherry simply says,
And aren't I the lucky woman? Because I love them both.
Evening, Jerry.
In Sinbad,
What do you have?
too much.
The sailor's arms is always open.
Sinbad suffers to himself heartbroken.
Oh, Gossamer, open yours.
Dusk is drowned forever until tomorrow. It is all at once night now. The windy town is a hill of windows. And from the barrack waves, the lights and the lamps of the windows call back the dead and the day that have run away to sea. All over the town, babies and old men are frightened and lullabied to sleep.
Unmarried girls alone in their privately bridal bedrooms, cloud and curl for the dance of the world. They make in their looking glasses haughty or come-hithering faces for the young men in the street outside, who wait at the lamplit leaning corners to wolve and whistle in the all-at-once wind.
The drinkers in the sailor's arms drink to the failure of the dance.
Down with the waltzing and the skipping. Dancing isn't natural.
Righteously says Cherry Owen, who has just downed the 17 pints of flat, warm, thin, Welsh bitter beer.
A farmer's lantern glimmers on the hillside, a spark on Flanagan horizon.
Cricklade Hill, writes the Reverend Jenkins in his poem room.
Cricklade Hill, that mystic tumulus, a memorial to the time when the Celts left the land of Cricklade for the region of summer, and the witches made themselves a wife out of flowers.
Mr. Waldo, in his corner of the Sailor's Arms, sings.
In Pembroke City, when I was young, I lived by the castle keep. 6 pence a week was my wages for working for the chimney sweep. 6 cold pennies he gave me, not a farthing more or less. And all the fare I could afford was parsnip gin and watercress. I did not need a knife and fork or a bib up to my chin to dine on a dish of watercress and a jug of parsnip gin. Did you ever hear a growing boy to live so cruel cheap? On grub that has no flesh and bones, and liquor that makes you weep. Sweet, sweet, chimney sweet, I went through Pembroke City, poor and barefoot in the snow, till a kind young woman took pity. Poor little Jim, she said, black as the ace of spades. Oh, nobody swept my chimney since my husband went his ways. Come and sweep my chimney, come and sweep my chimney, she sighed to me with a blush. Come and sweep my chimney, come and sweep my chimney, bring along your chimney brush.
Captain Cat climbs into his bunk. Like a cat, he sees in the dark. Through the voyages of his tears, he sails to see the day.
Dancing William,
Still dancing,
Jonah Jarvis,
still Curly Bevan Scowl.
Rosie is with God. She's forgotten dying.
The dead come out in their Sunday best.
Listen to the night breaking.
Morgan goes to chapel to play the organ. He sees Bart lying on a tombstone.
Johann Sebastian, who? Johann Sebastian, mighty Bar, oh Bar.
oh, to hell with you.
Says Cherry-Oing, who is resting on a tombstone on his way home. Miss Mavanwy Price and Mr. Mogg Edwards at the top and sea end of the town write there every night love and letters of love and desire. In the little warm white book of Cricklade, you will find the small islands and maps of the islands of their contentment.
Oh, my Mogg, I am yours forever.
And she looks around at her own neat, never-dull room, which Mr. Mogg Edwards will never enter.
Come to my arms, Mavanwy.
And he hugs his money to his own heart. And Mr. Waldo, drunk in the dusky wood, hugs his lovely Polygartha under the eyes and rattling tongues of the neighbours. He does not care. He smacks his live red lips. But it is not his name that Polygartha sings as she lies under the oak and loves him back. 6 feet deep that name sings in the cold earth.
But I always think, as we tumble into bed, of little Willie Wee, who is dead, dead, dead.
A thin night darkens. A breeze from the creased waters sighs the streets close under milk-waking wood. The wood whose every tree foot's cloven in the black glad sight of the hunters of lovers. That is a God-built garden to Marian sailors, who knows there is a heaven on earth, and the children of his kind fire in Cricklade's land. To the Reverend Eli Jenkins, it is a green-leaf sermon on the innocence of men, as the suddenly wind-shaken wood springs awake for the second time, this one spring day.